Welcome to another episode of Bowcast. This is the archery podcast with the new school archer in mind. Bowcast covers everything from tips, techniques, and archery technology that will help raise your success in the field. And now, here is your host, covering the straight shot, Carrie Zilka. Welcome to the Bowcast podcast. I am your hostess, Carrie Z. This episode is going to be super interesting because we have Dan Forster, who is the Vice President and Chief Conservation Officer for the Archery Trade Association, on the line. I came across this press release that at first glance I was like, oh, how interesting can this be? And then I read it and I was like, it's really interesting. So, Dan, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here.
Honest to God, I get the Archery Wire and I'm reading through the press releases and I'm like, oh, 3.7 million Bowhunters nationwide. ATA compiles the Bowhunter numbers by state report. And I was like, okay, number one, in the past, I've even just tried to compile like bow hunting or deer kill statistics from all these states, and it was the biggest pain in the ass. So,
yes,
my
yeah,
God,
you
the amount
are
of work.
Right. So I am very impressed that you can appreciate the amount of effort that went into that, because chasing reliable, comparable data from multiple states, never mind all of them, is a monumental task. There's no doubt. And so, we were very pleased to be able to put this together. And it's not perfect, but it is a wonderful data set.
It is really interesting. Yeah, much less even just getting people to respond, period. But
and there really is a long history into getting that data. And I have to first and foremost applaud the National Deer Association, because they provided the foundational information there. I'm privileged to actually sit on the board of the National Deer Association, and the National Deer Association is a transitional merger from the National Deer Alliance and the Quality Deer Management Association. And going way back, the QDMA put together an annual deer hunting report. And that report has everything you possibly could want to know about deer and deer harvest, the quality of the deer, age structure of the deer, lots and lots of information. But that information fell short when it came to participation. And that was one of the things that R3 practitioners, folks that are worried about hunting participation, worry about. And so, we started having discussion about including some of that data, and it took a little while, but they were able to include that in their now somewhat standardized surveys that they get out to states in the summer. And it was a rather simple process for me, not so much for Kip Adams and the effort he went through, but they were able to get that information back, and they put together the foundations of that report. And that's when ATA simply took the handful of omissions, because Kip and that group did not have time to chase all the details from all the multiple states. And so ATA just kind of worked over, a month or so, and kind of were able to fill in the blanks to make that data set complete. And so really they are the ones that did, yeoman's work for the foundation, and then we just kind of filled in around it to make it complete.
Nice. Yeah, a lot of work. And, both my podcasts are big friends of the QDMA, and I was excited with the merger, just the amount of resources that were being combined. And it's just, I think it's a good move. I think it's really interesting, and something like this is actually proof is in the pudding, culmination of the merger itself.
Yeah, I think most folks are very happy with the merger. There seems to be some winners and losers always when you do something that large. But the good thing is that both of those groups, had their niche. They had a history. They had great respect. They had a great following, and the egos didn't get in the way, and the merger happened. And I think there's just more good things being done under a single roof, if you will, as opposed to being, a little bit spread out. So, yeah, this report continues to get better, and I'm hopeful that over time we will be able to, duplicate and replicate the information that we're getting from the states, so much so that we can have trend data. That makes a lot of sense. Prior to this data set, there's just not a lot of information out there. Deer and deer hunting has been putting out some bow hunting data for literally the past 20 years. And there's, a really interesting deer biologist named C.J. Winand that has been, pulling information mainly from colleagues across the country that are deer biologists, and he has published much of those results, over the past 20 years. And so he gets a lot of credit, and the numbers that we show very much align with the work that he has done. The problem is, we continue, we being ATA and the broader community continue to try and work with states to come up with a simple process, one that doesn't cause somebody like CJ to pull his hair out trying to run stuff down, and it's not always comparable. And I think with QDMA's foundational work here and this annual repetition, we're going to have a I think something really good to continue doing over the next, hopefully, many years.
So for the listeners, and I'm just going to use Wisconsin because I live in Wisconsin, and we have a whole lot of gun hunters and not so many bow hunters, apparently. Just to give a little bit of contrast between the gun hunting licenses that were sold in 2022 were 800,000. 800,000 people bought deer licenses. You want to know how many bow hunters there are? There was, it ranked third for the highest number of deer hunters. And it said 307. 307,000 bow hunters. That's amazing. That's not, compared to like West Virginia, which has less than 100,000, it might sound like a lot, but compared to an extra 500,000 people out in the woods on opening weekend, the bow hunting opportunity is, I don't know, it's such a contrast to me, because I'll go bow hunting and I'll see nobody. And I mean nobody. On a parcel of public land, where you go out on opening weekend for a rifle, and those memes are so true, So when I look at the numbers in comparison, why should I as a hunter even care about those numbers?
So I think as a hunter, folks need to care dearly about trends in hunting participation. And that's really the bigger story. It's not as much that we worry about the number of squirrel hunters or deer hunters or archery hunters versus firearms hunter. The biggest challenge that we have as a community is just continuing to be a force out in the political world and in the economic world, so that, the things that we enjoy will continue. Obviously, being with the Archery Trade Association, we are keenly focused on archery hunters, but I think first and foremost, we need to understand the role that hunters play, the economic drivers that they are collectively. And, without the economics that come into play, there's no doubt that the wildlife in this country would be significantly damaged, and certainly would not be in the state of enjoyment that we have today because of the investment of hunters. They are first and foremost the premier conservationists under our North American model of conservation funding. And if that goes away, then all wildlife is going to be impacted, and the quality of life and all of the natural resources in the entire system. So hunting is foundationally important for the natural resources that we enjoy. And so in order to keep that going, we need to perpetuate, hunting. Now, when you look at states and how the number of hunters varies so much, each state has its own history, its own licensing system, its own season systems, and you can, by changing any and all those above, really impact the types of hunting that you have and the number of hunters that you have. You take some of those big Midwestern states like Wisconsin, big traditions of hunting, big numbers of folks, lots of open land, particularly in the northern parts of the state, for folks to go, and it's pretty amazing. But if you want to compare, some states that have, say, relatively little archery opportunity compared to gun opportunity. For example, South Carolina has a smaller percentage, way smaller percentage bow hunters than most states, mainly because they have a firearm season that starts August 15th in part of the state. So you don't have a separate archery season. Compare that to some states like Kentucky that has, relatively high percentage of bow hunters because they have, fairly short firearms opportunities. So all those things tend to play with the numbers, and it's nice to be able to get them to be able to monitor things, because if something's going awry as a state agency, you want to be able to detect those things. And while most states are paying attention to licensing and participation, it's a different task altogether for them to put that out into the public forum where you can view it and we can take advantage of it as interested folks or industry or conservation groups and the like. So this effort is going to give us, the temperature of participation. It's kind of a baseline, and then we'll be able to monitor things. So we'll be able to see, hey, is bow hunting numbers going down in the southeast compared to the northeast, or are we losing firearms hunters? All those things can help the state agencies, help conservation groups, and help industry react appropriately, again, so that we can sustain, perpetuate, and hopefully even grow participation.
So what if, I have two questions that come out of that. First off, so you mentioned, say the southeast, say it is trending downward where we'll just say bow hunters are purchasing less licenses, are participating less. How does the Archery Trade Association in particular, how would they pivot to increase those numbers again? Like what would you as an organization do to help increase those numbers again?
So it depends on what the root cause is. Hopefully we would be able to understand what's causing it, because that's really the thing. I mean, it could be the South has had some episodic hemorrhagic disease outbreaks that has impacted the population, and so participation tends to go up and down with wildlife populations. So it might be just a reality of the opportunities, but the things that we are doing as an association with many of our partners is, trying to grow and educate the next generation of participants. And that comes in several forms. Obviously, you think about youth programs, things that, S3DA, NFAA, USA Archery all have growing, robust youth programs that allow, individuals to have access and opportunity to, sports that they can compete in, that they get support from, and then hopefully grow that next generation. The other part is actually reactivating hunters. We have a tremendous amount of churn in the hunting fraternity, and by that I mean not everybody is like myself, which I'm going to hunt every year, multiple species, likely multiple states, with multiple weapons. I'm a core avid hunter, but if you start looking at license purchases, there is 30% or greater annual churn in participation. So those numbers that you see there are actually participating bow hunters, as best we can describe them, in a given year. But that's a different number, a much smaller number than if we just ask folks, hey, are you a bow hunter? You're going to get a multiplier greater than that, because many of those people, they kind of churn in and out. They'll say, oh, yeah, I love to hunt. I'm a bow hunter. Well, did you get one last year? Well, I didn't get to go last year. I had to, we moved and I didn't have a place, but I'm going to go next year. And so you end up with a lot of people that weave in and out of the sport just because life gets in the way. And so, by educating folks, by reconnecting folks, by making it easier to find places, by working with state agencies to improve the delivery of hunting regulations and simplifying the complexity of regulations, that can help reactivate people and make it easier for new people to participate as well. So all of those things through partnerships with a number of people that ATA and others are engaged in, hopefully we're making a difference to break down those barriers and make it easier for people to participate.
That is awesome. Do you think that, I guess, and obviously I don't look at a lot of statistics and numbers like you guys have at your fingertips, but do you think that the trend is still trending in a positive manner? And I guess maybe because Bowcast was in its heydays in the 2010s, 2010 through 15 or whatever it was. And then maybe because I was more hyper-focused or hypersensitive, I saw so many more people getting into bow hunting and getting into archery. Do you feel like that is still trending in that positive direction now, 2023, 2024, 2025?
So better than feeling, I think the data shows that.
Okay.
If you look, yeah, if you look at bow hunting participation with just about any metric you use, and I mentioned the deer and deer hunting report that CJ did, the work that NDA has been doing. There's also other national surveys that take the temperature of bow hunting participation as well as target archery participation. And I have yet to find a trend line with any of those long-term data sets, even though they're not perfect, that trends down. And if you look at, those groups that are, highly vested in archery, like USA Shooting, S3DA, the NASP program, it's the Archery in the Schools program, NFAA's programs, all of those things are showing increases. And yes, bow hunting participation is growing up. And that's going to have some annual fluctuations in it. For example, across the board, when COVID came, we saw about a 5% increase in participation in hunting across the board. And that holds true also with archery. But then the year after COVID, there was about a 3% decline. But that's still a net 2% gain over 2019. And so you're going to see some of those fluctuations in some areas, but when you look at multiple years in a row, the data sets regarding archery participation, both target and in hunting, show long-term increases.
It's interesting. I do see that. And even, like you said, the pandemic, love it or hate it or believe in it or not, whatever the case may be, I probably shot my bow during the pandemic more than I ever have in my life because
good for you.
You know what I mean? Like, because I wasn't doing a lot of other things, and I was like, oh well, I'll just go out in the backyard. So I hope others took advantage as well.
Yeah, they did. They really, really did. And whether it was, shooting your bow, or bow hunting or gun hunting or canoeing, folks just took to the outside in groves, and it was amazing.
I love it. Yes, silver linings, if there ever are any.
That's right.
So can we talk a little bit about the ATA event this year? Because I'll be honest with you, it's April, and I have yet to even, well, no, I take it back. I did chat with the Up North Journal guys about the event. And just through some posts and chatter, I heard that this year was the best one in several years as far as attendance and just positivity and deal makings and etc. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that makes me smile as well because I think you are in the majority in your way of thinking with respect to that. I think if you look back, the trade show has always been really strong, and COVID just, hit us and every other trade show, for a loop. And it was, it was tough to deal with. And then the first year back, we had some challenges with, a new variety of COVID that hit right before the show. And so that kind of impacted it. And last year, we really didn't have those barriers. The manufacturers that came back and the retailers that came back with a vengeance and an attitude, a real love for getting back together, rekindling those friendships, making the deals, and it just had a great feeling about it. It was very productive. We were very pleased with it, and we think it's portend for an even better year in 24.
Awesome. Yeah, I was kind of mad. We had just literally would have been back from Hawaii for 10 days and then left 3 days later to go. And I was like, there's no way I can go to ATA.
Right.
But then I'm hearing from all these people and now I'm super mad that I didn't just put my big girl pants on and go. And
right.
Because
live and learn.
I know, because everybody's saying how wonderful it was. And it was just great to get back. And I know the first show after the pandemic, the first one you were able to have, some of the trending chatter that I heard was now we've taught all of these, shops and dealers that they can do everything online. So will it ever come back? And then I was just so happy to hear that it was such a success this year.
And being a toxopholite like you are, you will know that, the retailers really want to come and put their hands on products, see the latest, greatest, because let's face it, they're the expert interface between manufacturers and, making the sales with a customer. And that group, very much loves coming to the show. Yes, they can make orders online. They can review products, but there's nothing like getting there on the show floor and seeing the latest, greatest, being able to compare, make good sales, and, win over customers by winning over retailers. So, I'm not sure that is ever going to go away unless, you have enough salesmen out there pounding the streets to make it to all the retailers across the country, which is crazy. It is. impossible. So this is the one place that you can come and do that. And of course, ATA's job is, trying to make that relevant, to make it the most productive for your time and for your business. And so that you get great value, not only out of your annual membership, but through coming to the show as well. And so far, I think we've provided that in spades, and you've got a great team at ATA working on that, every day to make sure that the next show is better than the previous one.
You guys really are. Your team is amazing. I cannot shout it to the mountaintops, more. And I've had folks from ATA on the show several times in the last decade, and every time I ask for an interview, you guys are like, no problem. When can we do it? And you're so helpful when I have questions, and even just putting on the show. There have been times in the past, everybody has complaints about conferences. It's just the nature of the beast, but for the most part, I've been like, this is great.
Right.
Growing pains and stuff, but your team really is wonderful. The archery, I cannot say enough good things about the Archery Trade Association, honest to God.
Well, I very much appreciate you saying that. It makes me feel good. It makes the team feel good. And, this is kind of, not really a job for most of us. I'd say all of us. It's a vocation, right? Where can you, blend work and the hobbies that you love, in a way to make, to make a living and spend time with the industry that you love. It's just, it makes it easy when you put the right people in the right place. And, we've got a long history of being able to do just that.
Awesome. Yeah. You and your team and everybody's, your hard work does not go unnoticed. And I'm sure that 2024 is just going to be just that much more awesomer because I'm going to be there. So there's that.
Good. We're going to hold you to it.
All right. Well, Dan, I'll link to all the links in the show notes, but if someone wants to find this press release, where can they go to find it?
They can go to our website, which is archerytrade.org. And not only will they find that, but they'll find other resources, other surveys, other bits of information. And so encourage folks to go there and not just pull that down, but spend some time and, see what you can see and spread the word. Excellent.
Well, very cool. Well, again, I thank you for taking time out of your afternoon. I'm sorry I pulled you out of a meeting early.
Thank you again for that.
I will.
That was perfect.
Like I said, I'll link to everything in the show notes that can be found on huntfishtravel.com as well as bowcast.net.
That sounds great. Thanks so much, Carrie.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.